today's video is not actually going to be about fashion or hair or anything like that, but it is going to be my advice on why, in my humble opinion, you should start social dancing. So some of you may or may not know that at the end of last year, sort of the last few months, I was going through a time. That is why I took a break from hosting for a couple of months. I won't get into any of the details, but suffice to say I was in a really, really low place, and one of the hardest parts were because I, for quite a while, didn't actively actually want to get better. I kind of lost a grasp on things that even made me happy. Once I started the slow road to recovery, I decided that I was going to do something for myself which I have wanted to do for a good few years now, and that is get into swing dancing. No, if I'm wearing these earrings I have to wear the matching bangle. Much better. So just between Christmas and New Year I signed myself up for some local swing dancing classes, and I'm in love. Literally one of the best decisions I have ever made. I have done dancing before. I've been dancing for actually basically my whole life, doing musical theatre and the associated dance training that comes with that, but I have not really done that much partner dancing, and I was terrified. I went for the first time. I went by myself, and I cannot believe how much I love it. It is the tail end of February now as I'm filming this, and I started in the first couple weeks of January. The amount I already feel like I've improved is crazy, crazy exciting, and it is one of the best scenes I've ever been involved in. And I just wanted to share with you some of the reasons that I would 100% recommend getting into social dancing, swing dancing, lindy, jive, anything like that if you haven't already. Number one is obviously if you are a lover of vintage, it is the perfect place for you and a super natural extension of the vintage way of dressing and vintage events. Most vintage events will have areas for music and dancing, and it is such a wonderful, wonderful way to connect with people, extend your circle of people in the vintage scene, and also means that if you go to more sort of local vintage events and you know there's going to be dancing, you're kind of guaranteed to know people because a lot of the people that go to classes will also go to events in your area. Also, can't fully appreciate the reason for the fullness of the circle skirts and things that were worn in the 40s and 50s until you've done dancing in them. Oh my god! Reason number two is, of course, the social aspect. It is called social dancing for a reason, and that is because it is a communication between two people, lead and follow. Typically, traditionally, the lead is a man and the follow is a woman, but we don't say man and woman in class, we just say lead and follow because there are some women that are leads and there are some men that are follows, and of course, you know, non-binary people exist. So yes, you have a lead who leads the dance and a follow who follows the leader, and you work together to create the dance, to decide what you're going to do, and you just make it up as you go along. I never understood before I got into dancing how people had these full, what looked like almost choreographed routines, and now I started dancing and I realised that it is just moves that you have learned and intuition and picking up on how your partner is leading you. I've got into the scene as a follow, which I do think is probably a little bit easier to learn because you can rely on the experience of leads that you dance with to kind of help you out. But if you are looking to get into dancing as a lead, please don't let that discourage you. I know people in my local classes who are learning as leads and they're doing so well, and the only way to get better is to do it. But I've genuinely made so many really amazing friends already just in the brief couple months that I have been dancing, and I think it's such a beautiful way to make friends and to connect with people, because dancing together is such a wonderful thing. It doesn't have to be like romantic or anything. It can just be fun and engaging and a really great way to get to know people. Reason number 3, if you are an incredibly tactile person like me and you've been feeling really touch-starved recently, just go swing dancing. You are in physical contact with people all the time, and you have to have a physical connection with a person in order to be able to appropriately follow their leads. So if you feel like you have been missing out on the sweet serotonin of like having physical contact with people, just go dancing, trust me. Reason number 4 is confidence. The confidence that dancing gives you is no joke. I cannot express how wonderful it is seeing people that are not as confident when they come into an event or when they come into a class blossom and kind of grow. I definitely feel my own confidence has grown from dancing already. I still do get nervous at events with a lot more people that I don't know that well, and being confident enough to just approach someone completely random that you've never met before and say, "Hi, do you want to dance with me?" Especially because I am newer and I find myself kind of apologizing sometimes almost before I start. Just being like, "Hi, I'm new, I'm really sorry if I don't do what you expect me to." But it's such a wonderful way to boost your confidence as a whole, because it's just so much fun. You feel so good when you do it, and like I said, because you're making like connections with lots of different people, it improves your social skills, it keeps you active, it improves your confidence in your body, it improves your coordination. It's just amazing. Reason number 5 is a really obvious one, but fitness. Swing dancing, hard work. I defy you to go to a dance and not leave sweating when you are dancing for long periods of time. It is so much more active than you realize it is, which means that it's really great because you don't necessarily feel like you're doing something super active. I personally hate things like running, treadmills, anything like that. I've always been someone who can dance, ice skate, do things like that for a really long time, but if you make me run, I will die after 3 minutes. But dancing is really great because it increases your stamina, it increases your endurance, it increases your muscle tone. You are going to have legs and abs and arms of steel, trust me here. If you stretch well before and after dancing, it's also going to increase your flexibility. If you're doing tricks and stuff, it's definitely going to increase your strength and flexibility. Oh my goodness, some of the things I have seen people do. And because it is so much fun and so engaging and something that you really want to do, it's going to be a really great, reliable form of exercise to keep you active. Because it's something that you want to do and not something you feel like you should do or you're being forced to do, I think that's always the best way to go with physical activity. It's something that makes you feel good about your body and good about your mindset, and not something that you are pressuring or forcing your way into doing. I have already mentioned this, but I really do have to emphasize how amazing the community aspect can be. So far, I have not heard a bad word really about anyone when I have been at events and dances and pub nights and stuff like that. I have never felt safer in my life than being at, there's a local swing night at a pub that happens like sort of once a month in my area. I have never felt safer in a pub in my entire life than when I was surrounded by people from like our local sort of swing dancing community. I knew that even if I danced with someone and he turned out to like kind of be a creep, or he tried to get a bit too handsy or do something I wasn't comfortable with, I knew I was surrounded on all sides by people who would have my back, get me out of the situation, make sure it didn't happen again, and either remove the person or no one would want to dance with them anyway and they would probably leave. And this is something that I have actually confirmed with people that I'm friends with who dance, who've been dancing way longer than me. They said, like, yeah, you don't really get that many creepy people, or any really, because they know the consequences of that and everyone kind of has everyone else's back. And that's just so lovely to be around. There's a really beautiful like community feel, and I, in case you can tell, I'm just obsessed with it. If I could dance every single day of my life, I would be a happy bean forever. There is actually a hot club happening next week and I'm just so excited because I live for these events now. If you're feeling like you want to get into it and you are nervous, let me break down a few reasons why you definitely shouldn't stop yourself from going. If you don't have any previous dance experience, that is fine. Make sure you're joining a beginner-friendly class. The class I go to has a sort of beginner and then a beginner class, and then a sort of more difficult class, and then free dancing for like an hour at the end, so you have opportunity to just sort of social dance and practice with people, practice things you've learned in the lesson, etc, etc. So make sure you're finding a class that has beginner friendly content and just go for it. You do have to give yourself that push to not be scared to mess up. Every time I mess up, I just kind of cackle because I think it's funny. And that's the fun, is that the people I'm around, we don't take it too seriously. So if you mess up, we just kind of laugh, you find your way back to the rhythm and you just go with it and you go with what's happening. So if you have no previous dance experience, that is totally fine, and there will always be people willing to take you out for a spin and to enjoy dancing with you regardless of your level of experience or coordination. If you are not into like vintage dressing and stuff, don't worry about it. I'm probably one of the most dressed up people at every event that I go to. Even now, there are people who just go in like jeans and t-shirts because you're there for the dancing, you're not there necessarily to be like dressed up. There are people who aren't into much of the vintage stuff at all. They just really like the dancing and the music. The music is another great reason to get into it, by the way. Oh my goodness, just all of the big band tracks and the jazz and the swing music is one of the most intoxicating forms of music, in my opinion, because you can't stay still when you listen to it, and it's just so much fun, and it has such an infectious energy to be around. You don't have to know people in the local sort of community to go to things. Like I said, I went to the first class on my own, not knowing anyone. It turns out that there were people who I had seen at local vintage events before who I knew of, but I didn't know them personally. I didn't know them super well, but there were people that I did know. But I have been to events completely by myself, not knowing if there's going to be anyone I'm going to know, and just willing to throw myself out there. And that is one of the most important things that you can do when you're starting any new skill or hobby, not just dancing, but be willing to throw yourself out there, learn by doing it, learn by messing up a few times. I stood on someone's foot. I've also accidentally hit someone in the face. It wasn't hard, but I had like a 3-week streak since I started of not having hit someone in the face, and I hit someone in the face. So Jack, I'm really sorry. But you just kind of have to be willing to go with stuff and let yourself be free enough to mess up, because when you give yourself the freedom to mess up, you also give yourself the freedom to improve way more than you think you can. Don't panic if you go to a few classes of a certain style of dance and you end up just not really clicking with it. Vintage dancing, super broad, and there are so many different styles that you can try out. There is swing dancing, there's Lindy, there's Balboa, there's shag, there's Charleston, there's jive, there's rock and roll, there is northern soul. There are so many different styles that you can try out. So don't be afraid to try out different styles and to experiment with different things to see which one fits best with you, because dancing is like everything. It's really personal and different people click with different styles for a certain reason. Another really important thing, if you are at a social event and you are, say you are called A and you meet a person called person B and you get along really well with this person and you keep seeing them at different events and you keep dancing with them and you always feel kind of like a little bit fumbly and awkward, even as you feel like you're progressing with your own dancing ability. You're just not quite managing to make it work dancing with this person. That doesn't mean that either of you are bad dancers. Sometimes you just click dancing with certain people and you don't click with others. And there doesn't really seem to be much rhyme or reason to it. Sometimes you get better at dancing with certain people as you improve. There are people that I used to find it kind of really difficult to follow, and now that I've A, gotten a lot better at my dancing, and B, gotten used to the way that they dance, those people are some of my favourite people to dance with now. So just be willing to dance with loads of different people and don't feel bad about yourself if, like I said, you just don't click when dancing with a certain person. Overall, I would recommend this for anyone. Dance is an amazing thing. It's such a beautiful form of community and connection and brings us all together for the love of movement and music, and it just makes me so happy. And for me, it's an excuse to get dressed up in all of my pretty vintage finery. I have to wear this outfit to a class at some point because these trousers are so cute. They're by Emmy Design Sweden and I need more pairs immediately. But it's a chance to get all dressed up in like my vintage styles and wear them to do things that vintage people would have actually done, which is amazing. So I know that this video was very rambly, very effusive, but I hope you found the energy endearing and not annoying. And I hope that I have at least convinced you to consider looking for some classes and events in your local area and giving swing dancing a go. I do love you all so very much. Please do not forget to follow me on other social media because sometimes I post videos of my swing dancing adventures. So don't forget to follow me on different places. I am most active on Instagram and TikTok, which are in the comments below. And I love you all so very much. Please do remember to have courage and be kind and make all of your dreams come true. And I will see you in my next video. Bye! Oh no. Do you ever get it where certain earrings, the backs just won't stay on? Because I have some of these Splendette earrings and for some reason the backs just won't stay on some of them. And I don't know if it's something to do with the back of the earring, the post of the earring. I don't know. It's very annoying. Reason number 2, that's number 1.